Part 25. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 241. Chapter 241. Why are you pretending to be innocent? Yang Zizi sat on the edge of the bed, looking at Lun Zhenqi with a smile, admiring his appearance. Looking like this, even boys are probably going to fall. I'm sorry. Suddenly, Lun Zhenqi muttered to himself. What did you say? Yang Zizi put his ear close to Lun Zhenqi's mouth, trying to hear clearly what he was saying, but he stopped talking. Everything is very appetizing. Yang Zizi was about to let Lun Zhenqi have a good rest here. When she went to change her clothes, Lun Zhenqi suddenly grabbed him. She lay on his chest, and the boy seemed to be unconscious again. Hey, Yang Zizi sighed, even drunk and startled. Just when Yang Zizi was about to leave, Lun Zhenqi suddenly pressed his neck again, and the two kissed each other. The next morning, Yang Zizi woke up relatively early and woke up naturally at 5 o'clock, while Lun Zhenqi seemed not to be completely sober and was still lying motionless on the bed. Yang Zizi gave Lun Zhenqi a good morning kiss on the lips, and then ran to change clothes happily. When she finished changing her clothes and came out, Goikale suddenly shouted from outside the door, Yang Zizi, come out and open the door. Yang Zizi, you bitch. Yang Zizi was very unhappy. He waved his hand and the door opened automatically. Yang Zizi, I'm going to kill you. Goikale threatened to kill Yang Zizi as soon as he came in. He was uncontrollable and seemed to have a deep grudge against her. You are crazy. She is your sister. Lun Zhenqi suddenly flashed in front of Yang Zizi and protected her behind him. Brother Zhenqi, we were all deceived by her. She is basically a spy sent by the devil. She killed my brothers yesterday and she didn't take it seriously. What did you say? Yang Zizi was shocked and grabbed Goikale's wrist tightly to ask her to explain the matter clearly. Why are you pretending to be innocent? It was obviously you who killed my brothers, but you pretend you don't even know. Goikale shouted angrily. Yang Zizi shook her off and quickly left the room. Brother Zhenqi, Goikale glanced at Lun Zhenqi pitifully with tears streaming down his face. Lun Zhenqi chased Yang Zizi without even looking at her. When she came to the dungeon, she found the bodies of her brothers lying on the ground. How is this possible? How could brothers do this? She shook her head like crazy. She didn't believe it. She didn't believe it was possible for her brothers to be killed because they were so powerful. No, this must be a lie, it must be a dream. When I wake up from the dream, my brothers will still be jealous of me. Zizi, Lun Zhenqi looked at everything in front of him and didn't know how to speak. No matter how hard I try to wake up from this dream, I can't seem to wake up. Ah! The black and white wings are summoned. Lun Zhenqi ran forward and hugged Yang Zizi tightly, who was extremely desperate. Zizi, it's okay, I will always be by your side. Yang Zizi broke away from him, get away. She ran towards the bodies of her brothers and murmured in a choked voice, I will definitely save my brothers. My blood can save them. Lun Zhenqi ran over to stop her. Angel's blood can certainly save people, but once too much blood is lost, the angel's life is not guaranteed. Yang Zizi pushed Lun Zhenqi away. He only wanted to save his brothers, even if it meant risking his own life. Yang Zizi took out his sword and made a sharp cut, and bright red blood flowed out. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 242. Chapter 242. Lost again. Yang Zizi fed his brothers to drink his own blood, but no effect was seen for a long time. How could this be? Her blood had obviously saved Lun Zhenqi, so why did it have no effect on her brothers? What happened? Yang Zizi was so anxious that he didn't know what to do. He really wanted to drink all the blood in his body to them. Zizi, you are crazy, you will die like this. So what, they are my brothers, the brothers who love me the most, Yang Zizi roared, she could not accept this fact. However, no matter how much blood he drank from his brothers, it seemed to have no effect. Until he lost too much blood and fainted unconsciously. Zizi. Goikale, who was standing behind and watching all this, had complicated emotions in his heart. That's right, she does not love her brother more than Yang Zizi, even to get the love of her life, so what does it mean to sacrifice this? If her plan can proceed smoothly, then Lun Zhenji will become the master of the vampire clan, and she can naturally become the queen of the vampire clan. Goikale looked haggard, with obvious signs of crying. Is my sister awake yet? Goikale asked worriedly. As you can see, it is impossible for Zizi to kill his brother Lun Zhenji explained angrily. Brother Shenji, humans are very cunning, and they can all act. Who would risk his own life to act? Brother Shenji, you have to believe me, she definitely killed the brothers, it's not like you and I didn't know about her collusion with the devil. Enough. He must be sent by the devil to destroy our vampire clan. Goikale was determined to accuse Yang Zizi of being the murderer. I killed him. What? Goikale was shocked and couldn't believe his ears. For a mere Yang Zizi, he actually took the blame for such crimes on himself. How is this possible? Brother Shenji, you must be taking the blame for her crime, right? I killed your brothers and your father, don't forget, your father was the murderer of my father and mother, I just repaid him the way he came. Goikale took a few steps back and looked at Lun Zhenji in disbelief. It's okay, Brother Shenji, you definitely didn't mean it, and I understand you, Goikale said with a flattering look on his face, as if he didn't care. Lun Zhenji only found it ironic that Goikale was indeed like his father. For his own selfishness, he could put everything aside, even the lives of his loved ones who loved him most. Brother Shenji, he called him cautiously. Roll. Brother Shenji, don't be sad. I won't blame you. You just did what you should do. I never meant to blame you, Goikale explained. Lun Zhenji suddenly lowered his eyes, looked at Yang Zizi and said, do me a favor. Goikale immediately laughed and said obligingly, help me erase this part of Zizi's memory. Goikale was stunned. He didn't expect that Lun Zhenji would erase her memory for Yang Zizi, but, she will remember it sooner or later. I can't control that much now. Seeing that Lun Zhenji insisted on going his own way, Goikale had no choice but to do so. Thank you, Lun Zhenji thanked her. Goikale bowed his head, he didn't need his thanks, she wanted him to love her like Yang Zizi, and she was satisfied. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 243. Chapter 243 Deception. Yang Zizi opened her eyes. It was already 3 days later. She looked at Lun Zhenji, who was sitting on the edge of the bed and silently accompanying her. What's going on? Isn't she drunk after 1,000 cups? Why did she sleep longer than she did in her prime? How long have I been sleeping? Yang Zizi took Lun Zhenji's arm and sat up. You are drunk and have slept for 3 days and 3 nights. Don't drink any more. Lun Zhenji's voice was gentle, but there was an indescribable and complicated meaning in it. How could I get drunk? I can't get drunk even if I drink 1,000 cups. Okay, don't drink anymore. Drinking is harmful to your health. Of course she knew, but she just wanted to embolden herself or Lun Zhenji and did what they would do sooner or later. No problem, Yang Zizi said obediently and threw herself into his arms. King of Ghosts, the 2 elders please come over to discuss important matters. Suddenly, a Gyaban came in and said respectfully. Yang Zizi was stunned. What did they call him just now? Ghost King? Did he hear it correctly? Wasn't Goiziogu already named the king of the vampire clan half a month ago? Agi and Aben, these two boys must have gone to the wrong place. Good. After hearing Lunchenshi's answer, she was sure that she had heard correctly. It is true. You. Yang Zizi looked at Lunchenshi in disbelief, and began to think wildly in his mind. Lunchenshi smiled, touched the top of her head, and said gently, "My brothers are all out on business, so let me temporarily take over the eldest brother's place in handling the affairs of the vampire clan." So it was like this. Yang Zizi finally breathed a sigh of relief. But her brothers seemed to have distanced themselves from her recently. They even went out to do errands without informing her, which made her worry. "Brothers, it's true, they didn't even tell me. Brothers left in a hurry and you fell asleep again. They couldn't disturb you, so they asked me to tell you." Lunchenshi's eyes were gentle and watery. "That's it? This is all a bit sudden. But I don't know why I always feel uneasy." But if Lun was in his prime, he would never have to doubt it. Because she will choose to believe him 100%. But I don't know what the big deal is that actually caused the five brothers to go into battle together. Then I'll go and talk to the elders about something first. Well, go ahead, go ahead. Looking at Yang Zizi, who had no suspicion about him, Lunchenshi felt guilty, but no matter what, this lie must be concealed forever. Yang Zizi returned to her body just like a normal vampire. Since she has lived in the human world for more than 10 years, her body has adapted to human life, so it is quite comfortable to bask in the sun. It is not like other people. Vampires are so afraid of the sun. Yang Zizi was sitting on the lawn, facing the sun. It was already winter, and the warm sun was shining particularly warm on his body. Yang Zizi. Ah, when Goikale saw Yang Zizi, she was about to rush over without any reason. Suddenly, she was illuminated by the warm sun from high in the sky, and intense pain seemed to be dissipating all over her body, almost turning her into dust. "What do you want from me?" Yang Zizi was enjoying the sunshine and eating fresh fruits as if he was on vacation. "It was you who killed." Goikale was about to angrily accuse Yang Zizi of being the murderer of his brothers, when Lunchenshi arrived in time and stopped Goikale. "Zizi, you can't stay in the sun for a long time. Be good and come here quickly." Goikale looked at the doting Lunchenshi, and his heart ached like a knife. Why could he treat Yang Zizi like that, but couldn't treat him the same way he treated her? End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 244. Chapter 244. As you can see. Don't worry, uncle. I have lived in the human world for more than 10 years. I have to face the sun every day. I am already used to it. Moreover, I have just grown up and can still grow. Yang Zizi said with a smile. "I have great respect for father-in-law Sun and have no intention of avoiding him at all." "Okay, then I'll accompany you." When Lunchenshi raised his feet and was about to step into the sun, Yang Zizi rushed over instantly and threw him to the ground. "You are crazy. Can you be the same as me?" How could she be able to withstand the stimulation of the sun if she was not exposed to it since she was born? Yang Zizi said angrily. Maybe this uncle did it on purpose to make her worried. "So, don't leave me for a moment." Lunchenshi hugged Yang Zizi and let her lie on his chest, feeling his love for her. Goikale really couldn't bear to watch the man he loved most making love in front of him, so he ran away crying. In the vast land, a happy young couple was lying on the ground hugging each other, looking up at the blue sky, with contented smiles on their faces. In this prosperous age, in addition to contentment, they seemed to have an additional worry. Lunchenshi was afraid that Goikale would not be willing to mention the fact that his brothers had left again, which would irritate Yang Zizi. After all, he asked Goikale to help get rid of her memory because he didn't want to make her sad. "I said you are not allowed to mention your brothers in front of her," Lunchenshi said coldly. "You have always considered her feelings. Have you considered my feelings?" What I have lost is no less than that of Yang Zizi. At least she still has you, but I have nothing left, not even the man I love most. They were all taken away by her. Gui Kale roared uncontrollably. It seemed as if the whole world had secretly betrayed her. Think about how she, the eldest princess of the blood clan, would do anything for the man in front of her. No matter how others said she was selfish, he would admit it, because, for him, she was fearless. Sorry. Had he known this, he would never have had any contact with him when they first met. In the end, Yang Zizi was hurt so much. However, there is nothing in this world that one could have known in advance. I don't need your apology. You haven't sorry for me. I just hope you can love me once, even just once. Gui Kale held his head high and begged the other party humbly. I can give you everything you want, only my love. He and his love belong to Yang Zizi alone forever and ever and cannot be separated. Gui Kale twitched the corner of his mouth mockingly and took a few steps back. Does he love her that much? She lowered her head, tears falling uncontrollably. As long as you promise me not to mention your brothers in front of Zizi, I will agree to anything. I can give you the throne of the vampire clan. Do you think I care about the throne of the vampire family? What I care about is you. Lun Chenchi sighed. He really didn't want to hurt anyone, including Gui Kale. But, in this case, he must be ruthless to protect the woman he loves. If you insist on hurting Zizi, I will never let you go. Lun Chenchi put down his harsh words, turned around and left without saying another nonsense. Lun Chenchi, do you love her that much? As you can see, Lun Chenchi left these words and strode forward. But you have to know that it is only a matter of time before memory is restored. She will remember it soon, Gui Kale reminded loudly, but the other party had already disappeared. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 245. Chapter 245 Provoking a War. Gui Kale was paralyzed on the ground with all her limbs. She was now like a lonely ghost, with nothing left, only a body, soulless and soulless. She was so helpless that she wanted to see her brothers immediately and confess to them. However, she was not willing to accept it. She was not willing to accept how Yang Zizi could achieve a prosperous life and how they could live happily together forever, while she had to bear all the pain. She also wanted Gui Kale to suffer the same pain as her, otherwise she would never be willing to accept it. What I can't get, no one else can get, even if it means destroying him, I won't hesitate. When Lun Chenchi came back, he suddenly found Yang Zizi looking in the mirror with his lower abdomen exposed. He looked left and right, wondering what he was studying. Lun Chenchi couldn't laugh or cry at Yang Zizi's move. He walked up behind him, hugged her, touched her flat belly and said lovingly, "Child, what are you looking at?" "I'm looking." "No, you can't tell him, he will definitely be angry if he knows that she still wants a child. No matter what happens, she will have a child that belongs to both of them. No matter what happens, she will try her best to keep this child, because he is the child of their love. I'm looking to see if I've gained weight recently. I feel a lot heavier after being fed by you every day." "Fool, it's not that you are heavier, but that your position in my heart is getting heavier day by day." Yang Zizi smiled happily and hugged Lun Chenchi tightly like a coquettish girl. "By the way, uncle, I noticed that the vampires seem to be preparing for war recently. What's going on? Who is going to attack the vampires?" Yang Zizi seemed to have already guessed who was going to attack the vampires. The vampires and the wolves have always been at odds with each other. The angels have been exterminated by demons, and it is even more impossible for humans. Then only the demons and the gods of hell, who are more powerful than the vampires, dare to compete with them. "Fool, don't worry about this. It will be fine. The vampires will be fine." Lun Chenchi comforted her softly. "Is it because of me, Mu Chenai wants to provoke a war with the vampires?" No, stop thinking so wildly. Looking at Lun Zhenqi's appearance, Yang Zizi guessed that all his ideas were right. Much Hanyi must have been upset because Lun Zhenqi returned to her. He once said that what he couldn't get, others couldn't even imagine. At this moment, he is already the god of hell, in charge of countless soldiers, and he wants to start a war without any reason. I'll go find him. She knew very well that it was impossible for the vampires to win over the demons. This was a fact that could not be changed for thousands of years. She didn't want to implicate everyone in the vampire clan just because of her. They were all innocent and members of her clan. She couldn't watch them die unjustly. Don't go. Lun Zhenqi pulled her back to his side and held her tightly in his arms. Even if she died, so what? However, once Mu Chenai starts a war, none of us will be his opponent. How will you know if you don't try? Maybe I can break the record. Lun Zhenqi raised the corners of his lips and smiled. I don't want to try, I don't want you to try. Yang Zizi was anxious. She had seen Mu Chenai's abilities before. If a demon wanted to kill a vampire, it would be as easy as squeezing an ant to death. This was really too risky. Did he make any request? Yang Zizi suddenly asked. Since he came for himself, there must be some conditions that made Lun Zhenqi so determined to go to war, even if he knew the foreseeable outcome. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 246. Chapter 246. Face it together. No, he just wants to rule the whole clan, Lun Zhenqi said calmly. But the devil is already the ruler of the entire clan, and it has never changed for millions of years. Zizi, no matter what happens, let's face it together, okay? Lun Zhenqi held Yang Zizi's hand and looked at him deeply. Looking at Lun Zhenqi, she seemed to feel safer than ever before, and it seemed that all the dangers in front of her were nothing. Okay, let's face it together since it's inevitable, let's face it together. No matter what the outcome is, she will hold each other's hand tightly and never let go. Muchen Yi will attack the vampire clan at any time, so during this period, I will lead my clan members to prepare for the battle. Yeah, Yang Zizi nodded. No matter what the outcome of the war was, she would never let him go. Knowing that the vampires and demons were about to start a war, Goikale was in a panic. When the devil attacks, doesn't this mean that the blood race will be exterminated by the devil like the angel race? No, it can't be done. She doesn't want to die yet, and Lun Zhenqi can't die. He is now the king of the blood clan. As the leader of the war, he must have the greatest responsibility and the most dangerous one. Goikale accidentally heard that the reason why the devil started this war was actually because of Yang Zizi. After learning the general cause and effect of the incident, Goikale realized that they were fighting to win the same woman. This war is simply the most ridiculous thing in the world. Actually starting a war at all costs for a woman. Although the outcome is doomed. But in this war, the victor and the demon will suffer many losses. No, the only one in the vampire clan who can resolve this war is Yang Zizi. Goikale ran frantically to find Yang Zizi. Yang Zizi. Looking at Goikale's fussy look, he most likely guessed what she wanted to do with him. You should also know that the demon is going to attack the vampire clan. As a member of the vampire clan, you don't want the demon to exterminate your angel clan and then exterminate our vampire clan, Goikale said breathlessly. So, I beg you, leave Lun Zhenqi, go anywhere, as long as you don't stay with brother Zhenqi, okay, I'm begging you, Goikale cried and almost knelt down to beg her. Yang Zizi glanced condescendingly at Goikale, who was kneeling at his feet, unmoved. He promised to face the prosperous times together. Goikale saw that Yang Zizi's face remained calm and his heart did not beat. He stood up angrily and pushed her hard. Yang Zizi, You are too cruel. Our vampire clan has a population of several million. Are you going to die here because of your own selfishness? It's their choice. In order to prevent everyone from accompanying them in the battle, Lun Zhenqi specially selected some soldiers who volunteered to stay and fight. Others who were unwilling to participate in the battle would be well protected and would never be discovered. Yang Zizi, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. You should have seen me clearly earlier, Yang Zizi disagreed. In that case, I will also let you see clearly the true face of Brother Shenqi. Goikale's eyes conveyed as he spoke that all the erased memories were returned to Yang Zizi. Those memories instantly entered Yang Zizi's mind and were quickly shown. It turned out that Lun Zhenqi had been lying to her. The brothers did not go out to do business at all, let alone entrust him with the position of the Lord of the Blood Clan. Yang Zizi's recovered memories were also mixed with other memories. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 247. Chapter 247, A Sword Pierces the Heart. Brothers didn't go out at all. It was Brother Shenqi who killed the brothers, Goikale said harshly, but she had no intention of blaming Lun Zhenqi in her heart. She just wanted to prevent others from getting what she couldn't get. Even if it means destruction, I am willing to do so. Yang Zizi ran to the dungeon heartbroken without saying a word. She doesn't believe it. He will never believe it. He killed Gui Zongliang to avenge his parents. She can choose to support him, but her brothers, absolutely not. Yang Zizi looked straight at the ground, activating the power in his body, slowly closing his eyes and opening them again. The color of his eyes instantly turned blood red. She could see what really happened in the dungeon that day. The ghost hiding in the dark smiled evilly at Kale. Yang Zizi took a few steps back in disbelief. His whole body was weak, as if his body had been hollowed out. How is this possible? It is impossible for Lun Zhenqi to do such a thing. She knows best what kind of person he is. But the thought of her brothers dying tragically in front of her made her unable to breathe normally, and she felt pain like bone-picking pain all over her body. Brother Shenqi was stopped by his brothers because he wanted revenge. Brother Shenqi killed his brothers in anger. Goikale lowered his head, pretending to be heartbroken. This is impossible, Yang Zizi couldn't bear such a heavy blow, so he punched Goikale out of the dungeon in anger. She felt uneasy thinking about the details of that day. No wonder she would be so uneasy one day. That day, Lun Zhenqi just went to the dungeon to pick up a necklace, but he went there for a long time. At that time, she vaguely smelled the smell of blood on Lun Zhenqi's body. If it weren't for this incident, she would never have thought of it. These details. When Lun Zhenqi came back from the martial arts field, he found that Yang Zizi was not in the house at all. He heard from his servants that the queen was waiting for him on the top of the castle. After hearing this, Lun Zhenqi quickly flew to the top of the castle. Yang Zizi was wearing a long white dress, with two huge wings, one black and one white, fluttering, like an angel who had fallen into the mortal world. Beautiful and noble. And she is indeed a member of the angel race. Zizi, Lun Zhenqi walked towards her with a smile. Yang Zizi suddenly turned around and stabbed Lun Zhenqi's heart with a sword out of surprise. Lun Zhenqi looked at Yang Zizi and couldn't believe that all this was true. Why? Yang Zizi's eyes conveyed his memory to Lun Zhenqi's mind. No, Zizi, please listen to my explanation. It's not what you see. I didn't, The more Lun Zhenqi quibbled, the more the shadows of her brothers appeared in Yang Zizi's mind. When she thought of her brothers who loved her, she wished that Lun Zhenqi's life would be worse than death. You said you hurt other people, why? You and your brothers are obviously so good, why did you kill them? Yang Zizi yelled in heartbreaking despair. He knew clearly that those were her biological brothers, the brothers who loved her the most, so why did he do this? It wasn't me. Lun Zhenqi used his last strength to deny his crime. Don't tell me, what I saw is all fake, it's all the illusion of Goikale. Lun Zhenji was speechless. He didn't know how to explain to her that Yang Zizi had the ability to see what happened that he didn't see, and it contained authenticity. There is absolutely no doubt about it. He didn't know how to explain it. You explain, as long as you explain, you will unconditionally choose to believe him. But he didn't seem to want to explain at all. Seeing that he didn't speak, Yang Zizi thought he was acquiescing and drew his sword fiercely. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 248. Chapter 248 New Life. When she sheathed the sword, her hand was accidentally scratched, and a drop of blood flew out, because the inertia of Yang Zizi's hand splashed onto Lun Zhenji's chest. Lun Zhenji, from now on we are inseparable. Yang Zizi held back the tears in his eyes, flapped his wings and flew away quickly, disappearing in front of Lun Zhenji. Zizi, Lun Zhenji endured the severe pain in his heart and called her name, but he fell down the next second. Brother Zhenji, the last thing heard after he fell was Goikale's anxious shout. Yang Zizi flew to an empty and remote place and landed, folding his wings. Muchen Yi, if you dare to attack the Blood Clan and harm one of my clan, I will slaughter you in the 18th level of hell. Yang Zizi sent a message through the empty voice. Is he going to lose him after all? The day Lun Zhenji came back, he swore that no matter what happened in the future, she would never leave him again. However, he actually killed his biological brother without telling him. Although this deep hatred had been avenged, she still felt pain in her heart and she was not relieved at all. Suddenly, Yang Zizi felt a sharp pain in his stomach. She couldn't help but touch her belly. Day. She sensed the birth of a little life. How could this happen? How could this child appear at this time? When she was in the vampire clan, she had been looking forward to the appearance of her child, but it never appeared. But at this moment, he appeared. How is that possible? She is now pregnant with her enemy's child. Baby, do you like to joke with your mother so much? Your mother can no longer give you a happy home. She did not want her children to grow up in an orphanage like herself, and envied other children holding their father's left hand and their mother's right hand. I don't want her to show any unhappy expression. However, she is now the last angel, and she is the only angel who can continue the bloodline of angels. If you don't give birth to this child, how will you rebuild the angel clan, and how will you complete the things that your mother told you in your dream? So, no matter what, she decided that he must keep the child. Because this child does not belong to anyone, he only belongs to her, and is just her child. Welcome, my baby, thank you for coming to accompany mom. Yang Zizi gently touched her belly, finally feeling somewhat comforted. Brother Zhenji, wake up, don't scare me. Goikale had been taking care of Lun Zhenji for several days and nights, but there was no sign of him waking up. Lun Zhenji was injured by an angel and was bound to die, but Goikale didn't believe it. She didn't believe that their vampire's god of war was killed by an angel with just a single sword. At this moment, she hated Yang Zizi very much, and at the same time she also regretted it. If she had not restored Yang Zizi's memory on her own initiative, such a thing would not have happened. But if her memory is not restored, then he cannot bear to see them showing affection in front of him without looking up. Brother Zhenji. Suddenly, Lun Zhenji's eyelids moved, and he seemed to be waking up. Not long after, Lun Zhenji slowly opened his eyes. Brother Zhenji, you finally woke up. Let me tell you, how could the god of war of our vampire clan die so easily? Goikale wiped his tear-stained cheeks. He glanced around and saw that it was Goikale's room. Why didn't he die? He clearly remembered that he was pierced through the heart by Yang Zizi's sword. He should have died, but he didn't. Lun Zhenji suddenly thought of the splash of blood. It must be that drop of blood. She must have scratched herself deliberately and splashed the drop of blood on her heart. Where are the seeds? Hearing that Lun Chenchi was in a hurry to find Yang Zizi as soon as he woke up, Guikale felt extremely aggrieved. He had been by his side and taking good care of him for days and nights, but when he woke up, he was calling someone else. Name, it's someone else you want to see. Brother Shenchi, you are so anxious to find my sister, have you ever considered my feelings? I have sacrificed a lot for you. Thank you for always taking care of me. Lun Chenchi could not repay him, so he could only express his gratitude with words. I said, you don't need to thank me, you just need to. Before Guikale could finish speaking, a gust of wind flashed by. Brother Shenchi. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 249. Chapter 249 Breaking the Promise Between Each Other. Mu Shanai looked for Yang Zizi everywhere according to the message, and finally found Yang Zizi in the barren mountains, who was about to fly away with wings. Zizi, Mu Shanai looked at Yang Zizi with emotion. It had been a long time since he had seen her. For the sake of his original promise, he reluctantly let go of the person he couldn't let go of the most. But now, if the other party doesn't keep their promise, why should I behave myself? The curtain falls. What is he here to do? I finally found you, do you know, for you, I. Before Shen Yi finished speaking, he was interrupted by Yang Zizi, who warned, I'm just here to tell you that if you dare to hurt a member of the vampire clan, I will take your life. Although the devil lives in the 18 levels of hell, he knows the news of all races. He has long heard that Yang Zizi is the king of the blood clan and a child of the angel clan. He should have persuaded himself to let it go because of this matter, but since Lun Chenchi didn't follow the rules first, he naturally couldn't help the longing in his heart. Don't worry, as long as you are separated from Lun Chenchi and stay with me, I will never harm the vampires. I'm an angel, shouldn't you kill me? I heard that demons are competitive among all races and will do whatever it takes, but I didn't expect that in front of her, it would be nothing more than this. Mu Chanai shook his head, I don't care who you are, I only love you as a person, don't worry, I will protect you, I am the god of hell now, I can give you what you want, everything, please come back to me. Mu Chanai opened his arms and slowly walked towards Yang Zizi. You are not afraid that I will kill you. You are the son of the murderer of my people. I know you are a kind girl, I don't care how much you want him to pay for what my father has done, I just hope you don't involve the grudges of the previous generation into our generation, okay? Yang Zizi didn't want to pay attention to him, and turned around to leave. Mu Chanai suddenly grabbed her hand from behind, pulled him into his arms, and held him tightly, for fear of losing her in the next second. Zizi, please don't leave me. During this time, do you know how painful and tormenting I am? Every time I tell myself not to miss you, but I can't do it. I think about you so much that I'm going crazy. Don't how about leaving me? I really can't live without you. Yang Zizi tried his best to break free, but the opponent was too strong and restrained him too tightly, so he couldn't break free. Yang Zizi was about to use her ability when she suddenly saw Lun Chenchi appearing in front of her. She thought for a moment, and instead of pushing away Che Shenyi, she opened her arms to embrace him. At this moment, Lun Chenchi's heart felt as if it was about to burst. He instantly teleported to their side and threw Mu Chanai out when he was caught off guard. The curtain fell steadily to the ground. Lun Chenchi, it's been a long time since I last saw you. I thought we would meet again on the battlefield, but I didn't expect it to be here. Mu Chanai spread his hands and said. You said you wouldn't show up. Lun Chenchi looked at Mu Chanai angrily, wanting to tear him to pieces. The god of war seems to have promised me that I will never appear next to Zizi again, Mu Shanai said calmly. His appearance was just someone breaking the promise between them, and it was not a matter of course. Only then did Lun Zhenji realize that he had indeed promised Mu Shanai a few years ago, but at that time he had to leave not only because of the threat of Mu Shanai, but also because of the oppression of the blood clan. However, who could have imagined that his leaving would be of no use at all, but would instead deeply hurt the woman he loved most. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 250. Chapter 250. Do you have to retaliate against me like this? I wonder what the king of the blood clan is doing here, looking for jealousy, Yang Zizi said suddenly, but never looked directly at him, instead looking at Mu Shanai with soft eyes. Shen Yi was a little flattered at the scene. Although he knew that the scene was somewhat deceptive, he still chose to believe that it was true. Yang Zizi will fall in love with him. Lun Zhenji's eyes instantly glowed with red light. Shen Yi became even more murderous towards Mu Shen Yi. Just when Lun Zhenji was about to fight to the death with Mu Shanai, Yang Zizi said quickly, Lun Zhenji, don't be stupid. From the day you left, I figured it out. The one I love is not you at all. The heyday of Lun became quiet, which was a bit scary. From the day you left me, I realized that the person I loved was Mu Shanai. When I was with you, I just found his shadow in you. Zizi, do you have to retaliate against me like this? Lun Zhenji had angina pectoris. What I said is true. I don't need to retaliate against you, because I only have one way to retaliate, which is to kill you, Yang Zizi said coldly, without any emotional warmth. Zizi. Yang Zizi suddenly walked up to Mu Shanai, took his arm, leaned on his shoulder, and said, we plan to get married in hell. It would be great if the king of the blood clan could come to attend. Lun Zhenji clenched her fists. She must be seeking revenge on him for killing her brothers. Zizi, I know it's painful for you to lose your brothers, but it's really not me. Lun Zhenji, don't mention my brothers, because you are not worthy. Zizi, if you really don't love me, how could you stab me in the room and then deliberately cut yourself and splash a drop of blood in my heart to save me? I'm afraid the king of the blood tribe has misunderstood. I wanted to use this drop of blood to kill you completely, but I didn't expect you to be lucky. Just when I started my thoughts, Mu Shanai appeared. He made me feel extremely comfortable. Yang Zizi increased his intimacy with Mu Shen Yi. Zizi. He would rather Yang Zizi kill him to retaliate against him than to provoke him by hugging another man in front of him and saying that he doesn't love him. King of the blood tribe, please come back. Being a light bulb will make people look down on you. The god of hell and I are very much in love, and we will get married soon. Just when Lun Zhenji was about to open his mouth to say something a few days ago, suddenly, Gui Kale's voice shouted from behind, Brother Shenji. Yang Zizi became even more angry when he saw Gui Kale, and held Mu Shanai's arms tighter. Zizi, Mu Shanai called his name softly, but the emotions in his heart were complicated. He hoped that he could deceive himself and think that all this was true and that Yang Zizi was speaking from his heart. However, in his heart he knew clearly that this was just Yang Zizi using him as a shield. And he, knowing this, was still willing. Yang Zizi, you are not allowed to hurt Brother Shenji. If you want to kill Brother Shenji, kill me first. Gui Kale stood in front of Lun Zhenji and protected him with all his life. That's it for what I've said. Whether the king of the blood clan believes in it or not has nothing to do with me. After Yang Zizi finished speaking, he pulled the curtain and turned around to leave. Lun Zhenji wanted to chase her, but was held back by Gui Kale. Brother Shenji, why is such a heartless person chasing her? Yeah, how could she become so heartless and unjust? End of this chapter.